And we're back, and this time I'm going to show you how to create variation in your logo wordmark designs without even touching color or the basic shapes. Let us look at the first example. Obviously this easiest one, just use different fonts. See it up here, it's Green Variable Concept as basic, and it's Bahnschrift, and I've used different fonts to create different fields. It shouldn't surprise you that this method changes the look and the characteristics of your wordmark logo, and it's the easiest way to create this variation. But even within a font you can work with different techniques, for example differentiation. Once again we've got our basic in the top left, and then I've simply used a different style for logo and example to create a differentiation between the two words. Here once again I've thinned the example and kept the logo just like in the original. You can use this kind of like a camel technique where you've got the capital letters bolded and everything else has the default style. You can also use a different horizontal level for the different words to create a differentiation. You can align them differently. For example here center, and you can align them to the left. A very common technique is to give the first word in your wordmark a different letter spacing, just like this, and make it fit the size of the second word if that is longer. And obviously you can combine all of these techniques. So use the different horizontal levels and use different styles, just like here. Let's go upwards to another technique. I simply called it casing. It's one of the easiest forms to create variation, especially within using the same font. You can simply start with the default, so only the L is uppercase, everything else is lowercase. Let's go one step to the right, and I've used the first letter of each word, made it capital. You can make it all small caps. Everything is capitalized here. Here's an example in the center. I don't see it very often. It doesn't really work, but it's an option. You can throw it in there and look if it works for your project. Here's a typical one where you've got the first word in the name of your wordmark capitalized and everything else is just in small caps. Here's another variation of it. Here's it simply reversed. And another method is to pick the first letters and make them capital. It's another way to create some variations that you want to present to your client. You can work with the spacing. Once again, we've got our default right here in the top left. And then I've created bigger spacings between the letters, or I've condensed them. So you can play around with that. Most of the time you want to use this function over here in Adobe Illustrator. You can separate the two words, give the two words a different letter spacing each. In this variation the example is condensed and the logo is the default. You can give an extra spacing to the first letter. Once again, you can combine all of these methods. For example, the logo here has a much bigger letter spacing and the example is condensed. And here we've got a bigger letter spacing, except for in the first two letters. Let us go to the last technique. I simply called it style, and you can find the style options right here. Set the font style for many fonts and play around with it. So here's our default. We've got a thin style, Then we've got a bold in a black style, italics, and you can combine all of these, make it condensed and thin. You can use a white style, then here it is black and italics combined, and it's made a little bit wider in the style, and you can condensed, thin, italic, use this style, which is a combination style as well. So there are a couple of options that you can use to easily create variations of your logo, and then you can pick the best one. And as I said in the introduction, we haven't even used color, added a basic shape, or created some advanced complex effect. And this is how you can create variation in your wordmark logo designs relatively easily. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.